Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. My name is Michelle Drew, and I'm your host today. And boy, are we privileged to have my guest. She is such an inspiration. She has been through hell in a handbasket and come out of it on the other end like a shining star. She was a shining star through the whole experience, but you are not going to want to miss a minute of our conversation with Miss Debbie Anderson. I love you, girl. And
I love you.
I want to take people back before we come up to today, where you've got so many amazing things going on. I want to go back to the dark time and
Okay.
walk through that with you and tell us some of the things that you experienced. And I know your story, but these guys are in for, a real rude awakening.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I can take you back to like February of 2019, where I did find a rather large lump on my breast. And I went for a mammogram and I was told that it was just dense breast tissue. And then every time I would put my arm down, I would say to my husband, Mike, I'm like, Mike, it seems bigger. It seems bigger. It was growing rapidly. And then I went back in, I think it was July, and had another mammogram. And then that's when the radiologist came in. It was, I think, July 31st, and told me that he said of 30 years that he has been doing breast radiology, that I had breast cancer. And I was like, no way. Well, that next day, they came, I went in at 7 a.m. the next morning. So that was scary because usually I don't think it's that quick.
Right, right.
So that next morning I'm back up in Syracuse and I'm getting a biopsy. So then it's the waiting game for the biopsy. So I actually was on my way down to Greensboro with my husband, and I got a call, and I've been waiting, and we're waiting and waiting for the results. And then I'm like, should we go? Should we not go? And then I'm like, we have to live. We have to live. And so we went, and I got a call from the doctor. We were about 45 minutes from our home. We had to turn around and come back. And that's when she told me that I definitely had breast cancer.
Right. And it wasn't
Um,
just a little breast cancer. It was like
yeah.
serious stuff.
Yeah, it was serious stuff. Yeah. So then I had to meet with an oncologist and a surgeon and all of that. When the oncologist told me that it was triple negative, I kind of was like excited, thinking, all right, I have cancer. But the word negative, I was like, I'll take it.
Right.
And she was like, no, Deb, triple negative breast cancer is the worst cancer that a woman can get. And I went, oh. So then when she told me what stage it was, I don't think I just held my hand up at her and I said, I don't want to know anymore. Just tell me, how do I win? And that's how I started this whole process of hell is tell me how I win. I don't want to know anything else. Don't give me your stats about anything because I'm different, I felt, and I will win. So that was my mentality from day one.
Right, exactly. And we know that that carried you through, but there were some days that even though on the surface you were amazing, I know the pain that you were dealing with and the things that were happening with your hair and all that, I know that you want other women to know.
I think it's so important. There's so many, everybody in so in the cancer bubble, right? So there's the radiologist had his job to read the films, right? Oh, I don't know if it was his job to come in and tell me I had breast cancer though, but he did, right? Then you go and you get a port put in. So you meet a surgeon, you get a port put in because that's where the chemotherapy is going to go in. Then it's oncology. And in between all of these appointments, now you're set up, you're meeting with a navigator and they're talking to you about the chemo treatments you're going to have. And then you meet the oncologist. And in between there, so much happens. You're feeling so much. You're so scared. But on the outside, I knew that I needed to be strong for my family,
Yeah.
right? Because I was always their rock,
Yeah.
so whatever happened, I was definitely the rock in the family. So I had to have that strength behind me, even though inside I was like, oh my goodness.
Right.
So
Right.
there's so many pitfalls, so many things happen in between. That's where I want to scream to the rooftops what we need to do to help other
Yeah.
women.
And I saw you that week. I saw you after your diagnosis when you said, "Don't tell me anymore. Tell me how I win." Nobody knew.
No.
Nobody knew. We were at a huge celebration of 30 years and nobody knew. You
Yeah.
just put on that stellar Wonder Woman cape,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was so new then. It was like, and at that particular moment with the people I was around, and as I think the most important thing is, then you kind of you recognize, and what I recognize was my tribe, my
yeah,
people whom I wanted to be around during this time. It's, it was all of you that I took under, and you guys lifted me. And that was so important.
mm.
um I don't know if I was ready to tell anybody just then.
Ah, that makes sense, right? That's a
Yeah,
lot to handle.
I
And
didn't want to
then,
become a pink ribbon. I
right,
still wanted you to think of me as me,
yes,
right?
yes,
So that
definitely.
was that was a lot of um self-awareness that I had
Yeah.
to work on,
Yeah, and you
for
had
sure.
some challenges through the chemo, that you had many, many rounds of chemo, very strong chemo, and you had some reactions to some of the meds, right?
Huge
Yeah,
reactions, yes. I think it was, well, the first day, God bless those nurses. And I got to tell you, my first day, I had a little nurse. She was tinier than anything. Her name was Caitlin, and which I thought, oh God, that was a God wink, right? Because my daughter's name is Caitlin.
yeah,
My first day in, my nurse's name was Caitlin, spelled the same way as my daughter.
wow,
She's brand new too. They give you a button if you feel any different. Now, I've never been that person where, if I get a cut or anything, like it's all right, just let's bandage it up or whatever. I'm not a big drama person.
right.
So she was saying, here's what I want you to look out for. Here's what I want you to look out for. And I was like, oh, I, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like this way. And they're like, and like my blood pressure shot up and I was having a cardiac event. And I didn't even realize it because that I don't complain.
Yes, yeah,
So quickly I had to have come to Jesus with myself of like, hey, this isn't just everyday life. You need to really be in touch with your body because poison is on its way in and you need to know what's happening to you. And so yeah, day one, I had an allergic reaction to the chemo.
and you were supposed to have 20 how
I
many
was supposed
rounds?
to have, um, well, I had to stop. I had 7 more to go. I did 28 and I had 7 more to go. But the 7 more that I had to do was immunotherapy. The immunotherapy is what saved my life. That was the triple negative cancer. It was kind of missed because they treated it the same way they treated the HER2 breast cancer and all of the estrogen driven ones. Triple negative, our sisters in the past were treated the same way. This
Yeah,
immunotherapy is what saved my life.
wow,
And so they married that together with the chemo, and
wow.
that's what cured my cancer.
Wow. And I
Yeah.
know that as you were going through chemo, you were faring better than the other people in the room, right? And what were
Yes.
you doing to keep your body healthy?
And my daughter owns a hydroponic organic salad shop, so we always ate that way, right? So I knew there was no sugar entered my body anymore. um no alcohol, no glass of wine at night, no, everything that went into my body was pure.
Yeah,
um I drank pH level water, everything, just to keep my body at a pH level.
so important.
Because I didn't want the cancer to grow faster, because triple negative cancer is a fast aggressive growing cancer. So I had to get my body right there and say, okay, I got control of it, you're not
Yeah,
growing any faster.
yeah,
So then what the chemo takes from you, you need to replace.
right.
So I did that with supplementation, and mine was like a powder form, so that it was kind of like I was getting an IV
Right.
of good vitamin
Without getting
D
yet another needle.
without getting another needle. Right. Forget it. I'm not getting any more needles.
No.
You know, after this, she's just like, okay, you know, people are like, oh, you got a port. Well, the needle still goes in your chest, people. It's still a needle.
Yeah.
So it's like after that, like needles never bothered me before. I'm not interested in them anymore, you know?
I get it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so many things happened. So I got chemo burns. I had no clue, right? So from my head down to my toes, I had like blisters. And that was another reaction that I was having. And it's amazing how in the medical field, when I went there, and so that was week 2, and I had all of these, and the nurses were like, it was like I got another freckle. Yeah, that's just chemo burns. Where you're
And no
like,
one prepared you for that, right?
nobody prepared me. And that's what I'm saying. That's the valley that there's the missing information for everybody, right? Is like, here's what's going to happen and nothing in between. Here's what's going to happen, nothing in between. Whereas, okay, so now I've got chemo burns. I had a cardiac event. Like, I had no idea this could happen.
Right.
So like those pieces are so missing. And when you lose your hair, it hurts. It hurts like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that. And like to this day my scalp is still sensitive. I never had a sensitive scalp at all. But to this day my scalp is really sensitive. But as you're losing the hair, I can't even explain to you the sensitivity of my scalp. um just awful. Even to put my head on a pillow hurt. Like I just had to
Wow.
gently place myself on there. It was amazing
Wow.
until it all came off. um you know, it hurt really bad. It hurt when
Yeah.
I was bald, but I knew enough to protect it.
Yeah.
But wow, with my
And
hair
one
coming out.
thing you mentioned to me that I never even thought about, it's not just the hair on your head that you lose, it's everything, right?
It's everything. So yeah, and it's an unbelievable moment. And I think, you know, you look at yourself as a woman, and I used to have long blonde hair, and 38 years in the beauty industry, hair was kind of what I felt was defining to me. You could
Yeah.
find me in a crowd, right, Michelle?
Oh,
There she is,
100%.
hair done perfectly, blonde. She's right there in
Yeah.
in 5,000 people, right? You
Right.
could point me
Yes. Yes.
out. But when you, as a woman, become bald, you take on, it's like a moment, like it just takes your breath away. But then other things are happening. You lose your eyebrows, you lose your eyelashes. And you know what? When I noticed that, I lost my nostril hairs. It
I
was
think that
bizarre,
surprised me the most.
bizarre. And I was like, what is wrong with my nose? And I would say that, what is wrong with my nose? And then I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't have any nostril hair.
Wow.
And when you look, like you could take it on as a woman, put a wig on, right?
Yeah.
But when you don't have your eyebrows and you don't have your eyelashes, your eyebrows really frame your face.
Yeah.
So it's a moment of, who the hell is that?
Right.
Who the
Right.
hell is that? Where I can't even, I still can't find the word of that moment that I looked in the mirror and
Mhm.
noticed I almost seemed alien to myself.
Yeah.
An
Yeah.
alien moment of your skin tone changes. You know, I've got these sores on my face. I'm bald and then I have nothing to frame my face. What do I look like?
Mm.
You know, it was almost like I need to start carving the pumpkin again,
Yeah.
right? And create the look on my face that is no longer. And that's where I was like, all right, solution. And that's where I was using that cream with the peptides in it to clear my face up.
Right.
My chest and my legs took the longest to clear up. They had the worst burns on them.
Mm.
But just if you could get your face cleared up, that was, you know, putting the,
That's what everybody sees. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And every chemo treatment, I went dressed to the nines. I had to put eyebrows on, right? I didn't do it. I didn't do any lashes. There was, it was what it was. Lipstick, eyebrows, and I would wear some sort of soft thing for my, I wore the wig, I think twice. I feel bad. My husband spent quite a bit of money on that thing because it was a perfect match to my hair.
It was a good one.
It was very good. So like we went above and beyond because I still wanted to look like me.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? Embrace your bald. That's who you are right now. And that's the journey I took. Right. I shocked you all when I took
Yes,
my
I was just going to say that. We just think alike. It's crazy. I was going to say, I remember seeing you on stage when nobody knew it was a wig. Nobody knew. And you did a presentation about what defines you. And when you ever took that wig off and dropped it on the floor, everybody was like, and a lot of us were crying because it was such a moment of vulnerability.
Yeah. And for me too, because when you think about someone who thought my hair defined me, wow, and not in a way, not in a way where like, oh, my hair is all me, right? But I really felt like that's what defines me. And when I took that off and people thought of Debbie as her hair, really, and I said, what do you think of me now? And I'm bald. Like the moment I had with you guys was like no other.
I'm tearing up now.
Yeah, you guys had your moment, but I had my moment of like, yeah, that's right. My hair isn't me.
Yeah.
Moment where it was on your end, I'm sure a whole different feeling of.
And how long was that standing ovation after that? I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Gosh. And that's where I thought, I think that's my aha moment, Michelle, where I was like, God, I know there's a reason. I know there's a reason I'm going to live. What is it? And when I had, oh gosh, I don't know how many people were there, but I had 642 messages on me taking that wig off that day.
Wow.
642.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And how it changed people.
It did.
I thought, there I go.
Yes.
There I go. So whatever people felt defined them, I was hoping that they'd have that aha moment, that palm of their hand on their forehead moment of like, no, that doesn't define me.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm more than that. Yes.
Correct. Yes. Way more than that.
Yeah.
And that was important to me. And that's what's important to me now.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful segue. Thank you for that. Let's fast forward to, what are you doing with all of that mess? How did
what
you
a mess that was.
What is your newfound purpose? And talk to us through that.
Yeah. And you know what? I love the fact that I get to say what a mess it was. It was, right?
Yes.
So it's no longer. So my purpose is to help and change as many people as possible, not just breast cancer survivors, but it's all about the mindset of how can I help somebody after diagnosis fast forward themselves and see themselves through this process. Because I think that's the most important thing. I saw myself cured. I didn't see myself as cancer. I didn't say I had cancer until I had to say it. Because people didn't know I had it, right? So here I am presenting myself bald. Well, I better tell you why I'm bald, right?
This was not a conscious decision.
No. And it definitely wasn't a shaved head.
Right.
But it was, I think that's the important thing is when I saw people there's no privacy at a chemo facility, right? So the walls are only half up. And I knew Sally and David and John and everybody's issues, right?
Right.
Through the whole thing.
Right.
Where I was like, their mindset was so, and I understand being diagnosed is a hit to the gut. Right. And I was not always all rainbows and sunshine and strength. That I had my meltdowns. But if your mind tells you you are cured, it's a better way to get through the process than saying, I've got cancer, I've got cancer, I've got cancer.
Or my cancer. Oh, that kills me. Don't own it. It's like,
no.
No.
Hell no.
Yeah.
No. It is not part of me. It needs to get out of me.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, during the chemo, I would be like, I would be just praying to God, get it out, push it out, push it out, push it out, push it out. Chemo, do your job. Chemo, do your job. Every morning I woke up, I said, thank you, God, for being cancer free. And every night I went to bed, I said, thank you, God, for being cancer free. I never said, I hope I'm cancer free.
Right. And how many
And I,
months was it before you were cancer free?
oof. Well, they want you to do all that chemo.
Oh, of
So
course.
right. So, I didn't get a scan till I mean, I could feel it shrinking though.
Yeah.
So it was significant. So I could
Mm.
actually feel it. And I would say that to my oncologist. So how often would I meet with my oncologist? Um, Maybe every 4 weeks. And I would say to her, oh, Dr. Pudisari, I think it's shrinking. I think it's shrinking. And she's like, I'm sure it is, Debbie. I'm sure it is. And I'm like, it's smaller. And then I remember the one time, and I could actually go back because I journaled it, and I said, it's gone. And she's like, and she says, get on the table, right? And she
Uh-huh.
says, well, I feel something. I go, it's gone. She goes, it's dead cancer there. I said, that's the good answer.
That's a
It's
good
dead
answer.
cancer. Now let's get it out of there. Right. And I think I still had maybe 9 more treatments to go. And then the immunotherapy, but I was just like, let's get it out of there then. And
Yay.
like you really need to finish. But I was like, I knew it was gone before it
Yeah.
was gone.
Yeah.
And that's so important,
So
where
important.
is missing with people. And
Yeah.
I get the slap in the face and the punch in the gut, however
Oh,
you feel about it, right?
yeah.
But it's really, it's your journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's your power, and you take that power back in your body,
Mm.
and you tell your body it's no longer welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my passion now, is how can I help? But at the same time, while this poison's going in, we need to educate them of what to put in. And I wasn't educated,
Right.
right? And when I said to them, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, no sugar. And she's like, well, that's a great idea. Right? Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sugar makes cancer grow.
Somebody should have
So,
told me not to use, not to, I shouldn't have to figure it out myself.
right, right,
Right.
right. But here's the great thing. When you surround yourself, and that's, I think, my offering too, surround yourself with a tribe. I'll be part of anybody's tribe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The people in my life, like, I have a friend who reads a manual from top to bottom. I'm not interested in that. Now, when I come home with the cancer book with the what this possibly could happen to you, she read the whole thing. God bless her. She flew in from Florida, and she was, she did that.
Yeah.
That was that friend's job,
Right.
right?
Right.
And when I would say something like, "Oh, this is happening," I know she would, like, give my husband a like, "Yep, that's down here," right?
Right.
But I didn't want to read that.
Right. Right. Yes, that was her job. And she understood the science and all that behind it, right? I know who you're talking about, our friend Tina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that was her job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I'm not interested in
Right.
that. But when
Yeah.
you bring those people into your journey with you, it's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, in putting together my list of people that I wanted to interview, I realized I've got a pretty awesome group of friends
You do.
that have been through hell, and they've taken that hell and they've made it their purpose in life, and they are dedicated to making a difference in this world while they're here. And I've got the best friends, and I love you to death.
Oh, Michelle,
So,
this is what an eye opener for people, and what a great idea is, because not everybody's heard in their mess, right? And what do they do with it? Yeah, some people, you hear that, but this is a powerful thing, and also a healing for us, right? So
yeah,
we're able to talk about it. We're able to show you, all right. And there's other people out there in a mess, right?
right.
It doesn't have to be cancer, but know that you can get through it.
Right.
Know, because it is your mindset, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important, powerful thing. And what
Yeah.
you're doing is amazing. I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you so much. And my hope is that the ripple effect will be huge. because
And it should.
everyone has their journey that they've been on. And if one person can be touched, that person has friends and family, and the ripple effect will continue on. And that's kind of my hope with doing this podcast and interviewing my amazing friends, and then, people outside of my amazing circle. Um,
Yeah.
is there anything that we didn't touch on or talk about that you hoped that I would include here?
Well, no, I think, I'm gonna be writing a book.
Yes.
Um, I have a Facebook page called
Yeah.
Debbie's advice on triple negative breast cancer.
Okay.
And then I think that's the important thing is, and then my friend Michelle's going to teach me how to do a podcast as
I
well.
am.
But I think no, I think taking from today, I hope people get that whatever mess it is, whatever diagnosis it is, don't live it.
Yeah.
Know that you're in charge and that you can win. And it's a winning mindset. My theme song is champion, not because of my ego. It's because I
No.
live it. I'm the champion in everything I do because that's my mindset.
You
I'm going to
really
win,
are. You
win
really are.
everything,
Yes.
and that's how we have to take on and not let it become us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And just put your gloves on, man, and go get it. My first day
Yeah.
of chemo, what was my picture like? I had
Yeah.
my arms in
Yep.
a fist and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And it's all in how you present yourself. I
Yeah.
went in there and I'm like, let's go. And those nurses were like, it was much better to
Right.
interact when you have that mindset of like, she's gonna fight, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and they'd be fascinated with my clothes. You look so good. You look so, my friend bought me a chemo shirt. So I'd have the chemo shirt on and
Uh-huh.
just with a little zipper so they could get to that port, right? But on top, I looked cute.
You were adorable.
It was my mindset, right? You
Right.
know,
And even I know, but you're an entrepreneur and you didn't stop
I
your
did it.
business. You had Mike prop you up in bed and you got on Zoom and you continued on. And it's
I,
like, who does that but my friend Debbie?
and I won the prestigious award during that time.
Yes.
So in my I think 15 years of being in this business, I didn't win that prestigious award until I had cancer
How
and
crazy is that?
was going through 28 rounds of
Yeah.
chemotherapy and I won that
Yeah.
award. So that should really give people that aha moment that you can do anything. Don't lay down. You have to move.
Right.
If you're
Right.
getting chemo, the best thing you can do is exercise. I don't care if you're just walking, walk 30 minutes a day. I don't care if it's in your house, move
Yeah.
your body. Don't take on the disease,
Mm.
push that disease. Make sure it knows that it's not in charge.
Yes.
That's what I
Debbie's
did.
in charge.
Damn right I was. Damn right I was.
Yes.
And your body's your temple. So what you put
Right.
into it, right, is important. What you do for it is important. And that's the one thing and don't accept it for when that, if you get that diagnosis, don't accept it. It's no longer part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can make the words, but it's not you. I can
Right.
say
Yeah. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves when I work with people, when they say, oh, my this, my that, my whatever the sickness might be. It's not yours. Yours. You don't want it. Get rid of it. It's
no,
not yours. Don't own it. Yeah.
right?
Crazy. Those little things, mindset things, make a
Yes.
huge difference. And I don't think I've
I,
ever met anyone with the mindset and the strength in your mindset that you have. You're amazing. You're
yeah, and
amazing.
that's what I've got to do. That's what I've got to help people with that. Not
Yeah.
everybody's listen, I've coached a couple people
Yeah.
and it, it's they don't have that. And
Right.
and that's going to be my lesson, right?
Yeah.
How do I accept people who don't have that strength, right? Like
Right.
me.
Yes.
That will, that
Yeah.
that's going to be hard for me.
Yeah.
It's been hard for me when I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what I did, but I can't, the word can't does not even exist in my,
Yeah.
like, I didn't have the strength to take lids off of things, right? That would irritate me.
Yeah.
to the utmost.
Yeah.
I'd find a way. I'd
Yeah.
find a way. And then Mike would get up and then he could hear me struggling and I'd be madder than mad, right? Madder than mad. There was a couple times I threw things away because I was like, I'm not even going to have that because I can't open it myself. Yeah. But where that's the desire and the want that I want for everybody
Right.
to have that. It's not a death sentence,
Right.
right?
Right.
Unless you make it your death
Yeah.
sentence.
Yes. Yes. And so many people, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but so many people worship the white coat that whatever they say, they take it on and accept it. And
And
they're
they
just
accepted
people.
me. Right. And they accepted me because I didn't accept them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they're like, so now they're coming at me and they're saying, could you write a manual for things that you did during your chemo treatments?
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. I will shout it to the rooftops
Yes.
because I know that people were not getting their chemo treatments because their vitamin D levels were too low. And, you know, they're sending them to Walmart to get a pill in vitamin D. And I'm like, love of God, just, you know, and because of the half a wall, I knew that, you know, Susie couldn't get her treatment because her D levels were low. The following week, Susie still, her D levels were too low.
Wow.
Debbie's were right there. And they actually said to me, Michelle, we can't understand why your levels are where they are. And at first I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, they're so good. I'm like, well, of course they are.
I am Debbie.
Yeah, right. And at first you have that moment of like, what do you mean? But she, you know, and I was like, well, because what you're taking from me, I'm replacing.
It sounds so common sense, doesn't it?
It does.
If you're draining something out, you got to put it back in. It's common sense in our world.
It's no different if your iron is low. What do you need?
Right. Right.
Right.
Iron. Yeah.
If your vitamin D levels are too low, what do you need? And like it is right. You just want to do that to some people, like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
they're not always the answer. And I love them. They saved my life, right? But it's not always their answer. And they respect the fact of my version of
Right.
it.
Of course, they want their patients to live.
Right.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
live after.
Yes.
Right. So chemo can do so much to your body, live after too.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
that I can still work out every day and still, you know, maintain, you know, walking up a mountain if I want.
Right. Right. And I remember your videos on Facebook when you were working out through all of it, and you pushed yourself to get on that bike and whatever. And I'm like, damn, this woman is amazing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
movement
You
is the
have
best
to.
thing
Yeah.
for your body. If
Right.
I would have laid there and just let the poison do its job and the
Yeah.
cancer in my body
Yeah.
work on me, I
Yeah.
wanted it out. I wanted to just keep moving
Yeah.
and just get it out
Yeah.
as quick as possible. And that
And
was, you know,
yeah.
that's the important thing.
That's it. And you are victorious on the
That's
other
right.
side of it, now looking to help others with their journey, if, if they're willing to listen and willing to, have that mindset. That's so, so critical.
Yeah. And then this is gonna get this out to them, Michelle. What you're doing is gonna help and change so many people's lives that it's very important.
Yes.
I hope you get a billion followers. Billion
Thank you. That
followers.
would be amazing. That would be
Yeah, you deserve
amazing.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's, you know, it's people like you who are able to bring the message um to others.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so empowering, you
Yeah.
know. And you have your own story too,
I
girl.
do. I
So, you
do.
know, that'll be a great shining light for everybody too. So, you know, it's
Yeah.
great.
This has been so incredible, Debbie. So the name of your Facebook group that's specifically kind of around this topic is?
As is Debbie's strength and advice against triple negative breast cancer.
Perfect. And it
And
doesn't have to be
you'll
triple
see the
negative, right?
no, no,
Just
no, no. You'll
yeah.
see the bald Debbie there. Um,
Yes.
yeah, no, any cancer,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll probably change the name of that. But triple negative is like the nasty one. So
Right.
I guess that's what
Yeah.
um but yeah, I'll probably change that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where you can find me.
Fantastic. And I know that you always have an open heart to help anyone with questions or concerns or, oh my God, this is what's going on. Can you help me through it or talk me through it? I know your heart. So I would encourage anybody to hop on there and connect with Debbie if you're going through that type of a challenge.
Yes,
And I just want to thank you so much, my friend.
you are
Uh,
so welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
yes, yes. And we're going to stop the recording and we'll stay on.